So what did I think of Luca Guadagnino's latest film, After the Hunt? Hey guys, it's Brian. Welcome to the awards contender. So I just saw After the Hunt, and I have thoughts, y'all. I have thoughts about this movie. What a weird film. What a very strange film this is. It's not entirely successful. It's not all bad. I'm very in the middle on this one. I was hoping, ever since this film premiered at Venice, maybe despite all of the negativity, many mixed and negative reviews, maybe I would come out of this movie and love it. Maybe I would really come to enjoy this one because, even going into this film, I was like, it's Luca Guadagnino, Julia Roberts, Iowa Debary, Andrew Garfield, and it's about academia, where I spent many years. I spent 5 years in graduate school. I kind of know that world well. So there were some things about After the Hunt that were very much intriguing to me. And I did have kind of an odd reaction to it in that I really don't like the first half hour of the movie at all. I don't like the setup, the first scene, the opening credits, the music, everything about the first 20 to 30 minutes, I was not engaging with. Something was off, and I was like, damn, everybody was right. This movie is not going to be very good. And then there is a shift in the narrative. It happens in one or two scenes, and then suddenly I was kind of into the movie for a while. For maybe an hour or more, the movie does get better as it goes along. Once it becomes really all about Julia Roberts' character and what she goes through in the second half of this movie is very interesting, very captivating. There are some really good scenes in this. I would say 5 or 6, maybe more, great scenes where I could not look away. This is absolutely one of Julia Roberts' finest performances. It's certainly the best she's ever been in a decade plus. Since August Osage County 2013, she is bringing it in this movie. She is not the problem with After the Hunt. This is a mixed review. It's not positive. It's not negative. If you love her and you are adventurous, I would recommend you check this movie out once. She's really great, but the film around her, the screenplay, the direction, the score, the editing, there are many, many flaws in this movie that it's hard to ignore. For someone like me who sees tons and tons of movies every year, I knew early on something was kind of off in this one. It doesn't fully engage you for a long while. And then even though the second half is better, the last scene of After the Hunt is it's such a disaster. It ends on such a wrong note that I was like, wow, Luca Guadagnino and company, you have not done your jobs on After the Hunt. So the basic premise, no spoilers here. I know many of you got mad at me for being too spoilery in my One Battle After Another review. So I'll just say a few quick things, I promise. I'm not going to give too much away here. Julia Roberts plays a college professor named Alma. She is up for tenure. She's been teaching a long time. And she has kind of a star pupil student who sometimes works for her, attends events with her, with other faculty members. She's played by Iowa Debary, and her name is Maggie. At one of these faculty events, Andrew Garfield is there playing the character of Hank. He's an assistant professor at the college. He's also up for tenure. And he's kind of a wise ass. He's very confident. He's flirtatious with the women and stuff. Hank takes Maggie home, and then the next day, Maggie is nowhere to be seen. And then, going back to her office, later that night, Alma bumps into Maggie, who has been waiting for her. Maggie tells her that Hank assaulted her. She doesn't go into details exactly what happened, but he absolutely crossed a line. And Alma now has to figure out how to navigate the next few steps. She has a relationship with Hank. She has a relationship with Maggie. And there's not going to be an easy answer to any of this. That's all I will say about the plot. The less you know going into this, the better, because the movie does have a few developments in the second half I was not expecting, and it does get more complex, more interesting as it goes along, especially when it comes to the Alma character and her backstory. You learn little things along the way, and you're trying to piece it all together, and then toward the very end, you understand kind of where she's coming from. I was also really invested in the character of Maggie. The screenplay does not make it clear at all times. What is her motive? Is she telling the truth? Is she coming from a good place or a vengeful place? The movie does not make it clear for you. Even toward the end, you kind of have to make your own conclusions when it comes to Maggie, and I like that about the script. One of the few things I really enjoyed about the screenplay was how Maggie wasn't always spelled out, and I thought Debris was really good in this. I've heard mixed things about her performance. I think in terms of what she is called upon to do in this film, she does a fine job. And then the other character who is like really interesting in this, I did not expect going in, was Frederick, the husband of Alma, played by Michael Stuhlbarg. His character isn't fully fleshed out on the page, but the actor like imbues that guy with so much life, so many quirks, that by the end, you really do understand him, why he is with Alma, why he still loves her, even though their relationship has had its hurdles. He has a scene in this movie I will not soon forget. I'll just say he's walking in and out of a kitchen. The way that scene is paced, like through the dialogue and the character behavior, and what Frederick does, her husband, as he keeps interrupting a very serious conversation. That scene, I thought, was brilliant. Those are clearly the three best characters in the movie. The other ones are pretty underwritten. Chloe Sevigny, she has a few scenes, but there's not much to her. I was very disappointed by Andrew Garfield's character of Hank. He is very one note in this. In the second half, basically his entire character is just yelling and screaming and throwing stuff and being awful, and it's like, okay. It seems like there could have been some more nuance to him. I mean, maybe we're supposed to just hate him from minute one, and that's what the movie's trying to do. But he's just kind of a one-note villain. We don't learn much about him. Andrew Garfield, it feels like he showed up on set for a week or two, didn't have much to work with on the page, and so like he does what he can. He's a very talented, charismatic actor, you know, and it's especially interesting to see him play off of Julia Roberts in a few moments. If his character had more complexity, I think like something could have been done with Hank that like, you know, engaged our interest. But for the most part, the acting in this film is pretty solid. The actors are not the problem. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I felt it. I thought it a lot throughout this movie. I think one of the big issues with After the Hunt is the direction by Luca Guadagnino. Like where he puts the camera, how he paces this narrative. A lot of the directorial choices in this film did not feel right to me from minute one. Even when the film got better in the second half, there were still some things he was doing with certain editing choices, with the cinematography, and certain things that, like on paper, might have made sense, that were kind of interesting. They did not ultimately do this movie any favors. Let's start at the very beginning, where he opens this with like a semi-interesting minute or two. Julia Roberts' character of Alma just like walking to her office, like on campus at Yale. And then it cuts to the opening credits that look exactly like a Woody Allen movie. Like the same font, like everything about the opening credits, it feels like we're starting a new Woody Allen film. I guess it's a nod to his work because it's about intellectuals and stuff in this movie. And some Woody Allen films are more serious than funny, right? Match points. But most of Woody Allen's output has humorous elements, and the story, like the main story of After the Hunt, is not funny at all. It's very serious, it's very sad and intense at times, and the tonal shifts of the opening scenes of the movie did not work for me at all, because on the one hand, you have moments early on that are very dramatic, but then you have this score by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross that's kind of lighthearted. It's a little too bouncy, a little too playful, and like the score to the movie does not vibe with the subject matter. I don't know if other people are going to feel that way. This was ultimately a Luca Guadagnino decision. Like what kind of music plays along with these scenes? And it didn't feel right to me. On its own, the score is perfectly fine. But for this movie, I didn't like the music behind it and how it informed the drama of the scenes. And the movie works best in the second half when the score is gone. And two people just talk in a room for 3, 4, 5 minutes, often about difficult, serious subject matter. and there is no score, that's when the movie works best, when it can breathe. So I thought there were some tonal problems in the film, especially when it came to the music, and there's also a big problem with the cinematography of After the Hunts. It's interesting, like early on, Julia Roberts is often framed like not in the center, like she'll be off to the side, she'll look small. There are moments when two characters are talking and suddenly they are talking to the camera. Very close up, like sometimes it doesn't even like hold the whole face like in the frame, and it feels kind of like something out of The Silence of the Lambs, the way Hannibal Lecter and Clarice Starling would talk to each other. But it won't be for the whole scene. Often, I felt like the cinematography kept the viewer at a distance from the narrative, becoming emotionally engaged in the story. I thought that there was a coldness at times to the cinematography. There didn't seem to be a purpose the movie was giving us to have some of these shots. And so if there's not a reason behind some of this cinematography, it doesn't add anything outside of like taking our eyes away from the story that we're supposed to be invested in, and instead we're just paying attention to the shots. That's not what we're supposed to be focused on as an audience, and so it did feel a little self-indulgent to me. It felt like Luca Guadagnino like sketching out the scenes and figuring out, okay, what can I bring to this moment visually, which I get, right? You don't want to just have every scene like over the shoulder, you know, just basic. Like we need some variety. I get that. It's a movie. But a lot of the stylistic choices in this film visually, I did not vibe with. I did not make sense of, really. I do think the film is also way too long at 2 hours and 20 minutes. This does not need to be over 2 hours. And what was really frustrating to me, I don't know if anyone else had this reaction, there were at least 2 scenes in After the Hunt I wanted to go longer, where a conversation begins and I'm like, ooh, this is gonna be good. And then it cuts to another scene and I'm like, oh, okay. But then there's at least 5 or 6 scenes in this movie that go on 2-3 minutes too long, where I'm like, I get it, movie, I get it. Let's move on to the next scene. And it's like, you know, we could move things a little bit faster here, especially like the big opening scene at the faculty get together where everybody is talking. We're getting introduced to the characters. So I understand that moment has to go on a little bit longer than most of the other scenes in the film. But it goes on a long time, and I wasn't really connecting with the dialogue. That could have been tightened. A lot of this movie could like just even by a minute or two here and there. It could have been shorter. There were some logistical problems I had with the movie, just in terms of things that happen to characters, especially with Hank, played by Andrew Garfield. There are 2 things that happen to him in this movie where I was like, really? Is that how that would happen? Like, I was a little confused at times. It didn't feel totally believable to me. And some of the things Alma does in the second half of the film, which I won't give away here, I was like, okay, I kind of understand why she's doing that. But I also felt there was a flatness at times to the characterization of these people, where they are doing things for the necessity of the plots more than something that would happen organically. There were at least 3 moments in After the Hunt where I was like, I don't know if they would do that. And the last scene of this movie, it's really bad, guys. I mean, the scene before it, I didn't love with my full hearts, but it does pose enough questions for the viewer that gives you things to think about as you're walking out of the theater. The second to last scene of this movie is where it should have ended. You know, not entirely successful, but much better than having this one other scene that felt completely tacked on, did not add anything really to the narrative, and ends on such a sour, self-indulgent note from Luca Guadagnino. I'll just say that. When this movie cut to black, the first thought I had in my head is, Jesus Christ, Luca Guadagnino is up his own ass. So yeah, that was disappointing, unexpected. You know, I can like a film well enough if it has a lousy ending, a lousy final scene. You know, usually it doesn't impact my decision on how I feel about the entire film that much. But in the case of After the Hunt, because of its serious subject matter, and there's so much complexity happening here and there throughout the film, for it to end on this bizarre note, I was confused, guys. I was baffled. I was like, Okay, Luca, that was a choice. So yeah, After the Hunt is deeply flawed. It is disappointing. I mean, I didn't walk in expecting the best movie ever. So it wasn't like a revelation to me, like, oh, After the Hunt is not one of the 10 best films of 2025. I was surprised most of all to be as engaged as I was in the narrative in the second half, and a big part of that is the Julia Roberts performance. This is not going to be an awards contender in picture, director, supporting actor, supporting actress, and screenplay. But Julia Roberts is absolutely worthy of some awards attention, even though the film is flawed, even though there's a lot of problems with it, which I just talked to you about. The Julia Roberts performance is really strong. Even when the screenplay lets her down in certain moments, there are at least 3 or 4 scenes where she gets to fly, man. There is a scene in a classroom with only 3 graduate students. I think it's a class. I mean, it's only 3 kids. But she goes off in a way that was like really exciting to watch as a viewer. Like, as someone who has loved Julia Roberts since I was a kid. I grew up with her in the 1990s. I have always celebrated her successes. I have always been rooting for Julia Roberts, like year after year. And since August Osage County, she has not had a character as rich, as complicated as Alma. Like, she goes to some very dark places in the second half. I was mesmerized by. Like, my jaw was dropped for a couple moments. Like, when she starts swearing, when she's nasty, when she is getting up in people's faces. Like, this is a Julia Roberts we have rarely seen before in the movies. And so her performance, like, makes this a much better experience. She's not good enough to make the movie great. It's not like I can really love her performance and then overlook all of the many flaws in the film. It's not successful really in what it's trying to do. It can start conversations, and that's good, and it's obviously about a very worthy and timely subject that not too many films have explored in great depth. I appreciate the attempts, and I appreciate this ensemble cast. Everybody's doing good work, especially Julia Roberts, who I do think is worthy of at least a Golden Globe nomination. Like, she should get in somewhere big, somewhere televised in January, February. I do think that's going to happen. It would feel wrong to me if she has just completely ignored this award season. She's not going to make it to the Oscars, guys. That is not going to happen. The movie just isn't strong enough. It needed to be a little better. For me to see in a limited field in Best Actress, like, there's only like 7 to 10 like really strong contenders there. Julia Roberts would have been such a great addition to the lineup. She would have been like the one veteran in the category, someone over 50, right? I wanted that to happen. Sadly, it will not. After the Hunt just has too many problems. That's the truth of the matter. The tonal shifts, the score does not fit this movie very well. The editing, it could have been tightened. Some of the cinematography I found to be questionable. And that last scene does not work at all, even though I adore this Julia Roberts performance. She is the reason to see it. If you do check out this movie, it's just kind of a letdown. Overall, guys, I give After the Hunt a 5 out of 10.